In theaters now, however briefly as I record this, is Kevin Costner's new starring and directing Western Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1. Now, I'm saying while it lasts because unfortunately this movie is not doing very well in theaters, and there is now talk that maybe the sequels, which were planned to be released in a very steady pattern, I'm recording this in July of 2024, and apparently part 2 was supposed to come out in August, and now maybe that's not going to happen. And it's a shame. I wish people would go to see movies like this in the theater. I know Westerns are a hard sell for a lot of people, and Kevin Costner isn't the marquee name that he once was, but this is a really solid dramatic Western, and it has action, and it has the landscapes. You got Monument Valley. It takes place. I'm going to try to get into the story of this. It's a very, very broad canvas Costner is working with on this. So it's also like a star-studded cast. You have Kevin Costner, you have Sienna Miller, you have Jenna Malone, you have Sam Worthington. You have people, just talking about names you might recognize, Danny Houston, there's Michael Rooker, Will Patton, and on and on and on. There are just a large number of people you would recognize and a large number of people you might not, and that's fine because everybody in this is really good. So basic story, it's a lot of different stories. My belief is that you keep seeing these handbills for this town called Horizon that everybody is sort of headed toward. So my guess is that, not doing any research or anything on this, is that these various stories are all going to come together in that town of Horizon at some point over the course of these 4 films, which hopefully will be 4 theatrical experiences that I and you can have, and not just a streaming thing like everything else these days. So Costner plays a guy who's a horse trader and good with a pistol, and very sort of Clint Eastwoody, but very, very, very demure, very quiet. He keeps to himself. He's a simple guy, but when trouble rears up or injustice flares, he's going to be there to help take care of business. Sienna Miller is a woman. I'm not even want to tell you too much about these characters. Single mom and daughter looking to make her way, staying with some soldiers at a fort. Sam Worthington is a captain at the fort. Michael Rooker is another military man at the fort. You have Native Americans who are warring against and slaughtering the Caucasian settlers who are coming into their territory. Not just Caucasian, but the English speakers, let's say, who are coming into their territories. You have the settlers who are just trying to make their way across pretty rugged lands with the threat of the Native American attacks on them. You have, even within the Native American community, you have the ones who don't want to see these interlopers, English speakers, what have you, settlers coming into their land and disrupting their hunting land. They want them driven out and eradicated in any violent means necessary. And you have the ones who say, they're going to come either way. We might as well be friends with them. So it was interesting in watching. I know I'm all over the place with this because it really is a lot of different stories that we intercut between, and I don't want to give anything away. This is a 3-hour film. Never felt like that to me. I was actually disappointed when it stopped because I was like, I'm enjoying this. Just keep going. It's okay. You had no intermission, which is this weird thing that Hollywood and theaters forgot how to do. And I cannot imagine any audience would have an issue with 10 or 15 minutes to go to the bathroom and buy more food. I really can't imagine any theater is going to have a problem with a moment where people can go out and buy more food, and they're not really going to lose show times over the course of a day because it's 15 minutes. Come on. I don't know why filmmakers and studios don't understand that that's a thing you can do, and that most audiences would be cool with that, because when they watch things at home, they have an intermission with this. So, but it's a very good film. It wasn't widescreen, which surprised me. I mean, it's not 4:3. It's not doing that pretentious thing, but it's 185, 178. So maybe about as wide as your TV screen, which is ultimately the final resting place for all these things. But I felt like the widescreen scope would have given it a little bit more air, would have given it a little bit more majesty. But at times, I almost felt like it was shot like TV, not in a bad way, because TV is shot incredibly well now. But it wasn't. I felt like it could back up every once in a while and give me the surroundings. But you've got really cool, authentic feeling Native American villages, Old West settlements, and vistas and Monument Valley and snow-capped mountains, and you really get the width and breadth of rugged America as it was at the time this film was set. And you get a myriad of characters, not all nice, some good, some bad, some ugly, and it was really interesting to see how all these disparate stories, we cut back and forth, knowing that they're all going to come together eventually, and more characters are going to intersect. Even over the course of this movie, very different stories come together as it goes. Costner knows how to make a good Western. I don't think I've seen a Kevin Costner Western that wasn't solid, and this is yet another one of those. There's not a lot more for me to say about this other than it's very good. It's shocking at times. It's dramatic. It's occasionally humorous. There is a little lightness in the dark, and it's nicely shot. And I was never one who grew up liking Westerns. It really wasn't until I watched my first Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone Western that it kind of opened the door to me. And now I appreciate Westerns of all stripes. This is a movie to see in the theater. It is a movie to get lost in for 3 hours. It's really good. Don't let this only ever come across your eyeballs and brain on TV. Ultimately, that's where it's going to go, I know. But support movies like this in the theater so that we can have more movies like this in the theater, because selfishly, I want to see the next 3 of these in the theater, and I don't want to wait. Maybe what I hear is that they're giving it a little bit more time to find an audience before they put out the second one, which makes sense. But I don't want it to be like the Dune movies where they come out so many years between, so much time has passed between chapters. I have no recollection of what was going on in the previous one. One thing I will say that was a demerit for this film, probably the only demerit for this film for me, was that it goes along and tells its story, and then suddenly we're looking at a montage of the various characters doing things, and I'm like, oh, this must indicate the passage of time. And then I realized that this montage is basically at the end of Back to the Future 2, where you're getting scenes of what's going to come in the future films, and I don't want to know that. I'm not a pre-cap guy. I don't want to know what's coming up. I want to see it in the context of the film, because I see these things and I make assumptions and my brain retains them, and it kind of ruins the surprises. So I wound up just kind of looking down while the music was playing and all those scenes were flashing. So, and I don't even remember that I didn't know if I had a long blink. I didn't remember if this title came up that said something like, coming soon in Horizon, or up next, or part 2, or in August, or whatever. So just know that at the end of the film, you're going to see a montage that's going to probably give away some things for the upcoming films. Not much, but still. In theaters now, Horizon, An American Saga, Chapter 1.